Hello everyone, welcome to Just Talk TV. I'm Dazlan.
I'm
This is
Nick. Hi guys, what's up?
So it's been quite a while since our last episode. So for today, we're going to be talking about the first topic, which is about Chelsea.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yes.
Definitely, a lot of stuff has happened from now since then, but it's good to be back. And today, the first topic, as Dazlan said, is going to be looking at the credibility of Chelsea.
So and if they are going to be title contenders for the Premier League or in any competition right now, after with all they've been through with the transfers and how they went the momentum from last season. So what do you think about it, Nick?
Well, it's been so far in the Premier League, Chelsea have played 3 games. So there's been a lot of interesting talking points with Chelsea, and the Premier League in general. There's a lot of interesting talking points with the new handball rules and everything. They've started pretty okay. 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss.
That's a perfect start, I guess. Everything they went.
I definitely think that it's a 1-1-1 column. You know?
Yeah. They achieved everything already in the first 3 games. So you got it all. The first match, of course, they won 3-1, which is pretty convincing if you were to say that they were going to the next level from last season. It was pretty convincing, and not only that, the youngsters were scoring quite a lot and playing a pivotal part in that first match. And then the second game came. So, what about the second game for you, Nick?
Well, they played the Premier League champions, so they played Liverpool, and of course they went down to 10 men, and they basically lost the game. From then on, it's just a matter of quality in terms of consistency that one team had over the other. And I felt that it was an interesting barometer as to what their current positioning is, as a team. Was an interesting start for them for sure.
I mean, let's first talk about the first match again. Sorry about that. So the first match is they won against Brighton, which is 3-1, and all of their youngsters scored. And so what do you think about the first match first?
3-1, it wasn't really a convincing win. I think Brighton had some bright spots there, but definitely Reece James and all. It's a bit early right now. In a bit, we're going to be talking about their signings and stuff and how that kind of works for them. But right now, I would say that this team is set up in a way that I think gives away a lot of goals. And yeah, we definitely want to talk about. I think we definitely need to say that their youngsters are pretty much what I felt was their youngsters would be the core of this team. And I just think that it's interesting how they lined up with the youngsters, and now they've mixed in the new unit. Their young players are all very talented players. But yeah, I think how they've lined up with the new players has been very interesting. I think what you're saying about the youngsters is a good point as well. But we need to look into what their team lineup is actually like in order to get the full gist of it.
So let's take a look at the first lineup against Brighton with a 3-1 win. So 2 in the front is Werner and Loftus-Cheek playing in the 2 attacking side. Behind them is going to be Kai Havertz, which is a new signing coming from the Bundesliga, as well as Werner, which is actually quite an interesting signing. And then to support them on the left side is Mason Mount. And the 2 central midfielders is Kante and Jorginho. And also for the defenders, Reece James, which scored in that match. And then Kurt Zouma, and then Marcos Alonso, and then Christensen. And obviously the goalkeeper of that game is Kepa. So what do you think about the match?
I think for one thing, Mason Mount is a very talented player, but I don't think he'll be starting this game if Ziyech was fit. Also, I think they had a lot of issues in the left with Marcos Alonso, but at the same time, they pretty much they won the game. I wouldn't say they dominated the game. It's still a lot of cohesion, still a lot of stuff being worked out.
Yeah, that's true.
Lack of preseason as well.
Yeah, that's true. They fought Brighton actually before this on a friendly, like a few days before, and it was a draw, 1-1 draw. Essentially almost the same lineup. But let's look at the stats of this game. The possession was actually won by Brighton, which had a 43% possession compared to the 47 of Chelsea, which is not really a possession that a team that won by 3-1 should have. So, okay, let's look about that. It's the first matches where the two new German signings, Havertz as well as Werner, played. So do you think they are just actually taking time for them to gel?
It is. I feel like it is. But if you go in the later games, you would find that they haven't gelled in the Premier League yet, but both players have scored in the Carabao Cup competitions, which tells me that it takes a specific lineup for both players to work. I thought it really told against Liverpool how inefficient Timo Werner was, and definitely it's one of those things that the strikers struggle with. I think all Chelsea strikers, like since the dawn of time. Except for Drogba and Diego Costa.
I mean, after the 2010s,
we look at
except for Costa.
Exactly. If you look at how Torres came in, if you look at how these other strikers are coming.
Lukaku as well.
Right? They've always had it really hard to adapt to this kind of Chelsea side. To Chelsea, because Chelsea is always the team that you're not going to get like a continuous cohesion with them. There's always a change, always chop here, there. And so if you're a professional player, you'll find that Chelsea is one of those teams that you need to adapt to and you need to fit in, not be the thing that makes it different. I think Drogba was the anomaly of this. I think Diego Costa was another anomaly of this, and both players benefited by two tactical minds in Conte and Mourinho to make it work.
And also they had a midfielder powerhouse of Frank Lampard support them as well.
All that as well, I think that's the other interesting thing about this team is the midfield core is not that different from last season with Jorginho and Kante, but I think the exclusion of Kovacic is a bit strange to me from this team.
Yeah, that's true, and Ross Barkley made a start as well. I mean, not a start, substitute appearance, and Kovacic is not even on the subs. So
I think I'm very, very curious to know why. I think Kovacic is quite a serviceable midfielder.
That's true, and also as Loftus-Cheek, I don't think would start actually. Had been you said Ziyech would start, right?
Ziyech,
yeah. I think that if Pulisic was to start, I think
Pulisic.
We're missing Pulisic and Ziyech as well.
That would have been interesting. I think once this team comes out, Mount comes out, and probably the other striker comes out, then it would be a 4-3-3. I think that's the ideal form for them.
So Mount and Loftus-Cheek will be coming out.
Yeah, and we talked about the Liverpool game, we talked about the Brighton game, but I think what was the most telling was the West Brom game.
The one they drew 3-3.
Yeah, that was insanity, and that pretty much told me what the core of this team is.
Yeah, they pretty much lost the game in the first half, and then they did the unthinkable and got a comeback.
See, in comparison with Brighton, right, in this game they completely dominated possession. I think it was complete dominance on their part, and the way they let in these goals was comical errors. I want to say.
I mean, I think Thiago Silva, it was his first match as starting, and it was slow for him. He was too slow for the game. It could just be his.
He made a mistake very early on.
Yeah, he made a direct mistake in the early game, in the first goal, I think.
Exactly, and then one thing led to another, and you have to remember this wasn't even a game where Kepa was playing. There was one defensive mistake they made from a set piece. Where the completely no marking, the ball was basically headed as a pass to the
and not only that, I think the biggest thing is they had possession the whole game. The whole game ended with Chelsea having 76% of possession.
That's what I'm saying.
As
they
opposed
had
to 24
the dominant possession in this game.
As opposed to
the
24.
first half, West Brom was just tearing them apart. And what I saw was the core of this team, which is Mount, Hudson Odoi, and Tammy Abraham. All three players came on as substitutes, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not Mount. Mount was the starter. Yeah.
Tammy Abraham started, Mount started as well, so two people
Right.
started.
So Tammy Abraham and Mount started, and then Callum Hudson-Odoi came on. Sorry, and all three of them are the youngsters, right? So the ones who scored. Just based on this, what does this tell me? At 3-3, the final score is. I think this speaks more to the signings have not gelled yet.
Yes, I think so. That's to be the case as well, especially for Timo Werner and Kai Havertz as well, coming from Germany straight away. And not only that, Kovacic still needs a little bit of gelling compared to last season. I mean, coming in from the Serie A, from Spain. So I think Kovacic needs to adapt by this season. And okay, so let's take a look at the formation compared to what they had in the first game. So playing in the lone front is Tammy Abraham, and then behind him there's three attackers, which is Kai Havertz on the right, on the center, sorry, Mason Mount on the right, and Timo Werner playing wide on the left. Behind them is two holding midfields, which is Kovacic, the one you asked, so that was missing in the first game, as well as the engine, which is Kante. And as for the defenders, Thiago Silva made his debut, full debut by the way, starting debut. Obviously he got substituted off in the game. And then Marcos Alonso on the left, Christensen on the center, and then Reece James again starting as a right back. But then the goalkeeper is different now. It's no longer Kepa, it's Caballero.
Really Caballero. But it won't be him anymore. It's gonna be Mendy, I think.
Oh yeah, they just signed Mendy.
They did. So, 4-2-3-1 is this is the current in formation for teams that want to still play that attack and defense balance kind of situation.
Attacking offensive, but with the two holding midfields in Kovacic and Kante.
I think Kovacic and Kante for me are these are the starters.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I know there's a lot of rumors about Declan Rice, but these two guys are more than serviceable for their midfield.
As of now, I think Kovacic is a pretty good signing compared to last season. Kante still has a lot for him. He's 29 next season, or 29 this season. So I think for defenders, I think they have everything. I think Tomori have to start, if you ask me honestly. Kurt Zuma may have to intertwine with Tomori. So how about you, Nick?
Still a bit on the blasé side on things, because when I look at their back four, I just don't think there's any cohesion built between any of them. So right now it looks like a mismatch of several defenders just put together on a game day, basically. If you ask me, I think Tomori should be starting. I think Reece James is a 100% starter at the right back. This is definitely Chelsea's strength. I do think that Thiago Silva should start, but if you're gonna start Thiago Silva, you need to get someone a bit more let's say a bit more athletic. Maybe Tomori fits that role.
You need someone very fast.
Yeah, I think both centre backs need to be fast.
Christensen is not that fast to complement what Thiago is now.
I think Christensen is a smart defender.
He is smart, but it's not like the Van Dijk and Joe Gomez type of fast and big man.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you need with a defender like Thiago Silva.
But I think in general, the signings need to gel, and I think Silva needs to connect with the front, and they need to work together. I think Mendy will need to be able to communicate with his centre backs and build a defense on the back to the midfield, spread the ball up front to their new front line, which is the other guys. Chilwell as well still got to come in. So I think their signings are going to be crucial to their quality going forward.
Chilwell is probably going to be replacing Marcos Alonso for good by at least the end of the season. He's a long-term replacement for the left wing back. Yeah. He's pretty offensive as well, just like Reece James. So I think the two holding midfielders with the two centre backs, he's going to complement each other. It's just a matter of gelling, if you ask me.
Yeah. I don't know, I don't see, because here's the problem I'm going to have, and these are regarding the youngsters of Chelsea. I don't see where they fit once the signings. Okay, so there's a few youngsters I want to talk about, but we'll talk about them as a collective rather than individuals. Mason Mount, Reece James, Tammy Abraham, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Fikio Tomori, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Now I feel like these Ross Barkley has been sold or loaned to Aston Villa, so
just yesterday, right?
Yeah,
just yesterday.
So he won't be featuring much. But yeah, I don't know where this puts them. I think out of all of them, it's Reece James who has the starting power right now.
Yeah, I mean, last season he played, not to say pivotal, but he did had a lot of appearances as a rotation. But by the looks of it, he started 3 on the bounce in the Premier League. I think he is going to be the proper starter.
Yeah, so, like, that's what I'm saying. He's going to be the starter, but what about the other guys? Which, the argument, I think, is that Reece James has a lot of potential. Like, he has a lot of starting potential, yes. The other guys are starters too, but the problem is they're not household names. Especially guys like, I think Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham will find frequent minutes with the rotation. I think
Tomori for me, right? I think
Tomori,
you're probably going to see Tomori. Odoi and Loftus-Cheek is another one.
Yeah, those are the two that I'm very not sure. Like, they have a lot of depth in those positions.
I mean, they are Premier League quality, there's no doubt. So it's just a matter of if they are Chelsea or top 4 quality. It's only about that as of now.
I think Callum Hudson-Odoi has got a bucket load of potential, and just don't see. But I don't see him breaking this team. Especially, I can see Tammy Abraham fitting more, only because they might choose to put Werner in more of a wing position when they try to experiment with this side with like the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Or they try to play 2 strikers maybe or something. Again, I see a lot of potential there for that. But for Hudson-Odoi, he seems like the odd man out unless he comes off the bench and does things. In which case, I don't know, it seems like a waste, if you ask me.
I mean, that's true, but okay, let's look at the Reece James. Who's his competitor in terms of starting at the right back or wing back?
Azpilicueta, right?
Azpilicueta, who is the captain, but he has been playing a lot as a centre midfield, central defender of past few seasons.
Yes.
Sometimes, but he did play a lot. But he is the captain in the end. But I do think that Reece James is going to get at least 25 league appearances.
Yeah. Reece James, right?
Yeah,
of course. I think he's going to play a lot of games, unless barring injury or something. Fikio Tomori, I would like to see more, but I don't think the other guys are going to match the amount of appearances that Reece James is going to get. He's going to get more starts and more opportunities.
So all these players that we just said was English, and they are from the Chelsea Academy graduates.
Chelsea pretty much have this is the fruit of Chelsea investing in their youth academy in the last. That is, of course, they usually use it as a way of financing their club and buying and selling players to different clubs and stuff. But
if you would have told me or anyone else 10 years ago that Chelsea would end up having a bucket load of graduates that's going to be England international, that's completely unheard of about a few years ago.
I will say this though, I think if none of these guys play, none of them are going to be England internationals.
I mean, okay, Tomori has already made an appearance.
And in Reece James' case, he's not going to be an England international.
I mean, he's against Trent, but he might get
He's against Trent, he's against Wan-Bissaka, he's against
Kevin Trippier.
He's against... Let's just say the depth for the right back position in England is insanity.
But he's going to get a cap.
Hard to say. Even then, also, I think it's possible that Southgate will play 3 defenders at the back.
But Tomori itself has already made 1 England cap.
But he's not making the requisite club appearances, which I feel
that is true.
Make him move from the club more than anything.
That's the thing. I think the right move for him is, it's hard to say. Maybe Frank Lampard would end up suddenly having trust in him, and he might play a pivotal role.
Speaking of Frank Lampard, actually, with all these young guys, and the reason why all these young guys were heavily featured last season is because the guy who was brought in, Frank Lampard,
the former player and top scorer of the club.
Is he the top scorer of Chelsea?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I've in the past I've said a lot of things about Frank Lampard, but it's not coming from a place of anything other than what I don't understand with Frank Lampard. And maybe I'm more sympathetic to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in this case. But I find that Frank Lampard has come in and he's benefited from a situation at Chelsea where, because of the transfer ban, the situation has worked perfectly in his favor. Because there was practically no expectations last season, and they've placed in the top 4.
Yeah, Champions League football.
Exactly, and
they got the development of a lot of youngsters from the academy.
Exactly, but the way that is that Frank Lampard wasn't taking over a team that was like United's team after Moyes and Ferguson. Frank Lampard was taking over a rather versatile team and
just won the Europa League.
Exactly.
We're sorry.
Exactly. This is a team filled with talent, and he's come in. He's put in a situation, and now I have to ask the question. Now, when I've seen these first 3 games, and now I need to ask the question here: is Frank out of his depth actually as manager of Chelsea? He's picking fights with everyone. He picked a fight with Klopp. He picked a fight with Mourinho. He's picking fights with He's picking fights. He's talking big and
talking smack, calling everyone arrogant and all that.
You know, good entertainment value, sure, but
he looked pretty serious. He was more on the serious side. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You know, but like, I just think that if he wants to be this, I just don't see him as this all amazing manager everyone keeps telling me he is. Do you know he has the highest goals conceded per game, the worst defensive record of any Chelsea manager in the Roman Abramovich era?
Since 2003, he had the worst one compared to all the other managers. So on top, it's him. Second worst is
Roberto Di Matteo.
And third is Gus Hiddink, who is only an interim manager, by the way, of that season. And then Andres Villas-Boas, which is half a season, I guess.
Right.
And Rafael Benitez, who is also an interim manager.